Story time. My husband committed mortgage fraud through Habitat for Humanity and Proud Ground here in Portland, Oregon.
Allegedly. Because she is coming in so hot right now. It says here on the screen. Story time. My husband committed mortgage fraud through Habitat for Humanity, and I found out he had a double life. I'm scared.
I made the series outlining every single detail earlier in the year. I only had about 100 followers. A few thousand of you have joined me since then. My marriage starts to fall apart early 2024. I find out that my husband has been cheating on me consistently at every single stage of our lives for the past almost 20 years. Girlfriend, fiance, wife, from the day that he met me to the present day. He has been cheating with literally anyone who will have him. Friends, co-workers, strangers, neighbors, prostitutes, literally anyone who will have him.
My goodness. This is so much. Oh, bless her heart. The pain.
He has emotional and physical affairs going on constantly. He has 2 or 3 lives going on that I have no idea about. He's catfishing people. He has a fake wife, all this. So,
what is a fake wife?
In May of last year, 2024, we are splitting up. He tells me that he is leaving me with all of the financial responsibility of everything, our home, the kids, the animals, the dogs he begged me for. He's leaving me with all of it, but will not physically leave my home. I found out that I could not legally throw him out of his marital home. If I changed the locks, I would go to jail. Hindsight, I should have just done it when he pulled his on me, and I also should have sent him to jail and let that be the end of it. But like a lot of women, my shame and embarrassment of even being in that situation, having trusted this man who I married, the guilt and shame of his actions kept me silent for a long time. And it ended up hurting myself and my sons and emboldened him to do what he did. So I can detail that later. But anyway, he refuses to leave my home for the rest of the year of 2024.
And let me guess, while she was probably paying. Oh my.
He completely gives up any pretense of caring about me, my sons, the animals. He doesn't speak to my children for months. Months go by where he's living in the same home with them. He does not say a single word. Why is this significant? Apart from the obvious that he's a piece of shit for doing that to my sons. The harm and trauma that he caused them by abandoning them while still living in the same home is something that I hope he burns in hell for. But apart from that, he used them for financial gain. What I did not know that he was doing when he was refusing to leave my home. This man could have easily afforded an apartment for himself. Easily. He was leaving me with the financial responsibilities of everything. He made more money than me. He could have easily taken one check and moved out. He refused to. Why? Because my husband wanted to own a home. He couldn't do it the regular way. He didn't have the credit, none of that. So he decided to apply for a mortgage through Habitat of Humanity and Proud Ground here in Portland, Oregon. I don't know how much you all know about either of these charities. I didn't know a lot. I had to educate myself. I thought they built homes for homeless veterans. I did not know that they will work together, the two charities, to put you in a home if you live under the poverty line, right? If you're a low-income family, not an individual, but family. So what does my husband do? Claim that he is a low-income single father. He is neither. Without my knowledge or consent, he uses my children to apply for a mortgage through Habitat of Humanity and Proud Ground.
While he's still living in the house with her, while she's paying all the bills, and he's ignoring everybody, allegedly. Now, this is all alleged. I'm just going off of this side of the story. If this is true, that's crazy. I didn't even know that was a thing you could do through Habitat for Humanity. Now, I'll be first to say I'm a little ignorant when it comes to this whole Habitat for Humanity qualifications thing, but ain't nothing a good article can't solve when you go directly to the source. And this is the Habitat for Humanity webpage. And it goes over the qualifications for a Habitat homeowner. Now it says here, at Habitat, we know that the stability of a decent, affordable home empowers families to climb higher. To make home ownership more accessible, home buyers partner with Habitat to help build their home alongside volunteers and pay an affordable mortgage. Very interesting. And it goes on to state, in addition to meeting certain income requirements, applicants must be in need of affordable housing, willing to partner with Habitat, and able to pay an affordable mortgage. So according to what I just read, it's not just about anybody just wanting a home. You have to meet certain layers of requirements. You must be in need and have some layer of income and also meet the financial requirements, which probably means you must have a certain level of financial responsibility and able to pay this affordable mortgage. Now, and don't just take my word for it, y'all. This article actually goes over what an eligible home buyer must be. And if we scroll down, it says you must be in need of safe, affordable housing. Now, what's interesting about this is when it says in need of safe, affordable housing, that doesn't just mean you don't want to pay bills, which from what the wife is describing could be seen as, hey, that's an individual who doesn't want to financially contribute. But here it's saying you are actually in need of safe, affordable housing, which I'm sure some people might be able to argue is for if you don't have safe or affordable or stable housing. So I guess the better question in this case is he truly in need of housing or just avoiding the financial responsibility in the home that he already is in? Now, I know this might be up for interpretation because it says you must be in need of safe, affordable housing, and it goes to say exactly what that might look like, saying applicants may be dealing with substandard housing that is poorly built, damaged, inadequate, rent or mortgage that is higher or greater than 30% of their gross income, unhealthy living conditions such as homes with mold and asthma triggers, or a home that is inaccessible for their disabilities. Now that is pretty straightforward. Not sure if he falls into any of that. But what was just described is an environment that is actually harmful, not just inconvenient because you're going through a separation or a divorce. Oh, but it gets juicier, y'all. I continued to read. I scrolled down just a little bit further and it said low to moderate income. And it says for U.S. applicants. Now this is the part where I feel I can see why the play might have been the play. It says for U.S. applicants, household income must not exceed 60% of the area median income. And they have a little tool here for the HUD office that people trying to figure out what that is can use to find the median income of their area. Very interesting. But y'all, reading is fundamental. It says here household income, which means everybody in that house, the wife and the husband in this case. So they are looking at the bigger picture, not on an individual basis of what one person is bringing in. So I'm not really sure, according to what this woman is alleging, what qualifications her husband or her ex-husband was thinking he fell into. But let's hear some more.
He said, and this whole time he's saying he can't find a place to live, which is bullshit. January of this year, he says, I'm going to get out of your hair. I don't have a place to live. I'm going to have to move to Washington because I can't find a place to live in Oregon. He was closing on this house. Fast forward to April. I message him about taxes. Hey, we have to file taxes. He ignores me. What I don't know is that he has already filed taxes, claimed me and my sons without my knowledge or consent. He had already done that. Two things happen within 5 seconds of each other. When I get on the website, when I'm finally, after 2 weeks, authorized to get in here and submit the paperwork saying that he did this, I notice that my address is not my address. And I'm like, oh, that's really weird. Something tells me to take a screenshot of that address. Within 5 seconds of that happening, I get an Instagram message from my husband's coworkers. Hey, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. We have some information about Andrew. He bought a house, bought 2 new vehicles, and gifted his girlfriend one of those vehicles. Meanwhile, he's fighting me for the singular car that I have, fighting to take it. He had come over to my house and stolen the license plates off of it so that I couldn't drive it. Snuck over to my house in the middle of the night so that I wouldn't have a car.
Not a night op, black ops, ex ops, tax fraud. Is that tax fraud too?
But bought 2 vehicles and purchased a home. Is that home happen to be la-di-da, this address? Yes, it is. How do you get that home? I find out he got it through Habitat of Humanity. I call them. I say, yeah, so my husband purchased this home. I'm wondering how he did that. Yeah. I'm told use my sons to do it. Not only is he not low income, he's not a single parent. He's not a parent. But he wanted to own a home. He wanted to look like he was big shit. So he used my sons to get a home to house his girlfriend and her children. So here we are in December. I'd also begged him to go ahead and file for divorce, which he absolutely refused to do, despite the fact that he was living with another woman. I think he was under the impression that it would somehow benefit him in some way, shape, or form if I filed first. This was him. Our marriage broke down because of him. We are not married because he chose to be a grimy, disgusting piece of garbage. So, which I'm glad that ended up, in the beginning of the year when I was like, file, had he done that, I would not have found out about this home. I would not have found out about the vehicles that he purchased and all the other things. I found out that he had my name on credit cards that he had maxed out.
Oh, no. Not the maxed out credit cards, ma'am. This is horrible. Bless her soul. Bless this. Oh, it's already too much. Maxed out credit cards. Forget the cheating. No, I'm not saying forget the cheating. Like, that's not a big deal. I'm like, the maxed out credit cards is what would have sent me because of how hard that type of stuff is to dispute. I would be livid. And then just taking, allegedly, it's all alleged, taking her social, for financial gain. Oh, I would be so mad. That's like identity theft, but with somebody you know. Somebody that you're trying to legally separate from is even worse because there's typically malicious intent. Like, divorces get very ugly. It's already ugly for splits of property, cars, homes. If there's children involved, they can get very messy. But then to out the door, allegedly, run up a credit card in your ex's name or your soon-to-be ex's name, that's just grimy, slimy behavior.
That I didn't even know existed and did not have access to. There were a ton of things. When I came forward, after months of agonizing over it, but the mortgage fraud was the line in the sand. You f***ed with my kids. No. Once I came forward, I had all these messages from all these people. He had told people that he was a widower. I mean, it unraveled my entire life. There was never a single thing about this man that was ever the truth. So divorce has been filed as of 2 weeks ago. I am still fighting over this mortgage fraud.
And yeah, was that a question? Of course. And do the law know? You called the law, right? I'm sure she did. And if it was me or anybody I know, I'm calling the cops. Yes, I am. Yep. You're getting reported. Because what do you mean? The credit card is still getting me. She's saying the mortgage. I understand where she's coming from because she's like, hey, you qualified based off of my children, allegedly. Maybe I'll need to go back and read the fine print on Habitat for Humanity. But the maxed out credit cards is what would have sent me. That's the one. Because how much? How much we talking? 30? 40? 60? And how many cards? Because if she said she had good credit, and that's scary, if you have good credit and somebody opened up another line of credit and got another credit card that you didn't know about, and you sitting around 700, 800, credit card company's gonna give you 30, 31,000. Easy, a piece. You can apply for multiple different ones. They gonna get 30,000, 20,000. How much you put on it? How much? We need answers. That's what I want to know. I hope she answers that. Can you imagine if it was $100,000, ran up in debt? And mind you, she doesn't know about this. I would be disgusted. Now, she didn't post this but too long ago. It ain't even been 6 months. This is a lot. And the first comment said, this sounds like multiple crimes, especially if he used the postal service. How you use the postal service? They talk about contact the FBI. She said, I did that. I'll post those details in part 2. Oh, thanks for listening. No, thank you. We locked in now. We gotta see this through. And another comment said, if he moved out, you filed for divorce and abandonment. Don't wait for him to file. Another saying, these stories are the reason why the show Snapped is in season 99. Is it? Snap still come on. They used to come on to like E, right? It was like ETV. I don't know. Don't quote me. And they're going to say, I pray you find happiness in peace after all of this. And I agree. This is very sad. To do somebody like this financially, like as bad as divorces are already, I just find this to be the ultimate betrayal and disrespect. Very malicious. All right, we on part 2. We locked in.
You already have. The gist. I start asking questions at the beginning of 2024. Like a lot of marriages, it was death by 1,000 cuts. A lot of small, minor things, a lot of over-promising and under-delivering. But for the first time ever, I did not sweep it under the rug. I did not let it go, and I stayed on him. That led to a change in his behavior, which led to small lies, bigger lies, and finally, me contacting a private investigator. By the way, $3,500 for the weekend. The weekend, if you need a career.
$3,500 for a PI? Private investigators get paid that much? Just for 1 week? 1 weekend? Also, that's kind of a scary job, but you know, people like to be like Sherlock Holmes out here, okay?
Anyway, so lying and cheating, that would have been dealt with in private. My biggest beef is that he fraudulently obtained a mortgage through Habitat for Humanity and Proud Ground using my sons.
And the credit cards. And you darn skippy. You would have had to see me. in court about that.
The information, I go to file our taxes, he has already claimed us. I spend 2 weeks waiting to be verified by an IRS agent so I can get into the IRS website and submit the paperwork.
Right.
When I do, I notice the address is not my address, which is really weird because I've spent all this time verifying who I am with my address and all of that. So why do they have this random address? As soon as that happens, I said that he had tried to obtain a mortgage the conventional way and was denied. So I look up the qualifications just on Google, the qualifications to obtain a Habitat home. He does not meet any of them, not the income requirements, household logic. So I call. I will not say this lady's name because bless her, she was the only one who was honest with me, who genuinely tried to help me. And because of how her superiors have responded to me, I don't want to put her job at risk. But this lovely lady, I express my concerns. She says, let me look into this for you.
Right.
A couple weeks go by. Mind you, life is happening. All right. I've been strapped with all the bills. I'm trying to help my kids through this. They are devastated. My younger son was literally, it was bad. Also, if you watch my earlier videos, I was dealing with a health crisis. Specifically, I found out I had a hernia in 2023. Stupidly, I put my husband's health before mine. He needed back surgery. I said, let's deal with your back first. I know you're in a lot of pain. Let's deal with your back first, and then we'll do my surgery.
She did that for him to be having a whole nother life, serial cheating and allegedly wrecking her financially. Like that, man. And I just know that that has to hurt. Looking back, like while she was holding him down, like a lot of people do, this is what was going on. Man, I really feel for her.
Once he had his back surgery and recovered, he could not give a about what was going on with me. So I had the hernia that needed attention. I'd also found out in 2024 that I had cervical endometriosis. That was going to require several surgeries. And from the stress and the anguish of this entire situation, I had developed hypertension. I was having hypertension nosebleeds. I was passing out. I was hallucinating. It was affecting my daily life. I also dropped 100 pounds. I went from 230 to 120. I know it may not look like it. I've always had a moon face, but I dropped 100 pounds. So I'm like, no rush, I need to deal with these things. So this lovely lady contacts me, and she is as outraged and as shocked as I am, and says, you need to contact Katie Uphill at Proud Ground. She will be just as shocked as you, and she will tell you what to do next. She'll look into this for you. Katie Uphill not only dismisses me out of hand, but is insanely rude. And so for the first couple of minutes, I'm nice, but then I bloop out. I can't give you any information about my applicants. Your applicants are my children. My minor son? Yeah. So what information do you have about my children that you obtained without my consent? Sorry, but the way she spoke to me. So after going back and forth with her, trying to get her to understand the severity of the situation, I was like, who's your boss? Give me his name and number right now. Dominic Merriweather. So I play phone tag with him for a little bit. And also I'm sending emails to other people too. Other people at Habitat. Like I'm just Googling like board members and like sending them emails. Habitat and Proud Ground, now that I know that these are two separate organizations. So I finally get a hold of, we play phone tag for a little bit. I finally get a hold of him and he's like, oh, like let me look into this. More time passes. I'm sending more emails. I also contacted the Housing Authority, the FTC, here in Oregon, and the literal FBI. Okay, I'm sending emails to literally everyone. Here's all the information, here's the receipts, blah blah blah. I want to know how this happened. Okay,
right.
I know for sure that, so I'm looking at the income requirements. He does not meet the income requirements, and they don't give homes to individuals. So that's why he used my sons. My sons have no idea this home exists, nor do I, and he would have had it stay that way. I don't know this home exists. My kids aren't going over there. He has completely abandoned my kids.
Wait, it's just clicking to me. I think when she's saying that he allegedly used her kids, maybe she's saying he used the kids as social, maybe one of their socials? Is that what she's saying? Like they have a mortgage in their name? Because I was thinking she was saying he used the kids as some sort of qualifying measure, but I didn't see anything about kids on there. But if she's saying that he obtain some sort of mortgage with the kid's name, then I definitely understand why she would be upset. But I also would be like, how can that happen? Isn't there an underwriting process even still with a lot of paperwork? So, oh my gosh, I don't know. My flabbers are gasted.
But move the girlfriend's kids in there so he can play daddy to them. So there needs to be some sort of resolution with this home. The blame game starts. It was this organization's job to verify this information. No, it was actually theirs. I don't give a shit who's to blame. I want a resolution. What exactly is your concern? What the do you mean, what is my concern? So Dominic Merriweather speaks to the executive director at Habitat. They decide, instead of investigating, instead of doing literally anything. Now, mind you, I can't prove this because it was a phone call, but I was like, Dominic, he doesn't meet the income requirements, all these other things. And he was like, Rachel, we only verify the income once. Now, had you guys pulled like real tax documents, or like, there's no way he submitted anything that was legit. Any of our tax forms would have showed that he was way above the threshold, but he did admit they only verify the income once, meaning he could have said he had a part-time job at Denny's, that he brought home $1,000 a month, and then from the time they verified it moving forward, he could make $1 trillion and they would never check it again, right? So I know that there's no way in hell that he actually submitted legitimate tax forms, because he's way above that on his own. Never mind with me, and never mind with his second job. His one job would have disqualified him. Also, the fact that he was an individual, not a family, which again is why he used my sons. Now I'm looking up the qualifications. If you have another adult in the house, you have to prove that you have cohabitated with that person for the last 12 months. I'm not living there. So either they don't know that this woman is moving in or has moved in, or she's pretending to be me, or he said he had been cohabitating with her for the previous 12 months. I'm not sure about that. I didn't realize this was going to be this long. Go to part 3.
And then, is that one of them sort of situations where they might not even know she exists? Do she got a job? Because they go off of household income. Again, like, it could be your girlfriend there. Like, who's to say your girlfriend can't? But point is, it said household. She homeless. She jobless. Something ain't adding up.
My husband committed mortgage fraud through Habitat for Humanity and Proud Ground here in Portland, Oregon, part 3. Most of you have been great. I've gotten a couple of mean comments and messages. This is extremely difficult for me. My sons see these videos. I had to sit down and completely demolish any idea that they had about my husband. I had to be brutally honest with them. They're old enough to have social media. I had to get their permission to post our business. This has been devastating for all of us. I have no reason to lie. And furthermore, I would not go through this. No one could see it. Or 1 million people could see it. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm not going to tolerate it. So if you don't like it, you don't believe it, whatever, keep scrolling. That's it. Keep scrolling. So I left off saying that I don't know how he got around the other adult living in the home situation. Did he just not say anything until the house was closed on? Did they both lie and say that they had cohabitated together for the previous 12 months because that was a qualification? Did she pretend to be me? I don't know. I have the deed. She's not on the deed. I'm not either. I also have the contract where he sat down on January 2nd with lawyers signing, of course, that everything he was saying was the truth, la-di-da. He also, on that contract, put that he had no heirs, no one to inherit the home.
Now, she said that he used the sons to get the house. I'm not sure how, because she's not directly saying how he did that. But if so, then the sons, if their names were used to obtain a mortgage, which shouldn't have happened if that was the case, then they didn't have any heirs yet because they're children. But if his name was used on the mortgage, he would have heirs. He has sons. Wouldn't they be the heirs? Unless he didn't want them to be right.
So he sat down and did the contract on January 2nd. He closed on the home January 10th. January 10th, he also called and had my utilities shut off. I could go into all kinds of shit that he did. But anyway, staying on the topic of this. So Dominic Merriweather tells me that they only verify the income once. Now, they've obviously not actually verified the income, nor have they verified my children. No one asked where their mother was and my minor son. Like, no one did he have actors hired to play my kids. What was really going on? So he gives me a few little snippets. He then says that he's going to contact Katie and a couple other people back at Habitat, who, by the way, they've been completely ignored at Habitat. They decide to double down, protect the organization. So I get an email from Dominic saying this is when I knew that they were playing in my face. Dominic had continuously blamed Habitat. He's the executive director. He says to me in this email, "I'd like to apologize, Rachel. I gave you incorrect information. The application process actually does go through us here at Proud Ground. The verification process, the application process, that is our foundation. It has nothing to do with Habitat, except that is a Habitat. All the verification and the applications come through us, and we verify that." The executive director for 12 or 15 years doesn't even know that the application process of his own foundation goes through his foundation. Piss off. Y'all are playing with me. How many times they don't want their charity to have a black eye.
If what she's saying is true, they were passing the buck. They were playing the blame game, like she said, because if it involved a loan that should not have been approved, allegedly involving her children, somebody definitely dropped the ball in that case, because that doesn't even make sense. And the first thing that people at the top like to, and I'm just being honest, the people at the top love to be like, I don't know whose job it is. I don't know. Actually, I think they do across the street, they do that, right? Yeah, the other district over there, no, they're the ones in control of it. Whole time it's y'all. And you knew that. Allegedly. But accountability, because then she would know who she need to cuss out. She would know who she need to have smoke with. I don't think they wanted her to know, because it's a valid reason to be upset.
They get federal funding. So they decide to double down and protect themselves, because he says, I gave you the wrong information. We have to protect our applicants. Your applicants are my children. Your applicants are my children. Your applicants are my children.
Now she's directly saying here, the applicants are her children, which means the loan, from what she's hinting, had to be obtained with one of their socials, with the kids' socials. That's a huge deal. Now, we always talk about people putting light bills, water bills, some people be putting couches, errands, rental couches, some home furniture loans. They be doing that too. Washing machines, you name it. But a mortgage for a child is crazy, like crazy. Like, that's next level. How did you let that happen? And who's in charge? Who's in charge? They don't need to make another loan. Never no more. Cause it's like, did you even look at a driver's license? What did you look at? Tom, Lucy, what's another name? Sabrina, get it together, tighten up. Nobody finna take your job.
Okay? We have to protect our applicants, and then he puts in some about them, the applicants, having, being disenfranchised, and a lot of them have dealt with domestic violence, all this other bullshit. So, of course, they will comply with the court order. But, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. There needs to be a resolution for this home. Now, mind you, I've sent emails to everybody. Literally everyone. FTC, FBI, literally everyone. Once I knew that Dominic Merriweather was playing in face, then I was like, the FBI, all that. That's been within the last, let's say, month or so. So justice for me looks like him being thrown out onto the street, and this home going to someone, this precious housing resource going to someone who actually deserves it. A family who is struggling, a homeless person in Portland. We have a huge homeless problem, a homeless veteran, a hurricane victim, anyone but this who makes three times the amount to qualify to live there, who easily can provide for himself. He needs to go to prison. He literally sat down with attorneys and said, yes, all this information is true. Literally none of it was. Again, they didn't even do the basics. He could have claimed any child and said that those kids were his. Literally any of them, anybody's kids. So how many times has something like this happened? People contact them, and they, like they did me, ignore them, dismiss them, brush it under, because Dominic Merriweather was like, sorry, there's nothing we can do about this. I did the research. There absolutely is something that can be done about this. Of course there is. Of course there is.
And she has a great point. If they're not doing anything about it, if it came to her kids, it does not compute. Like, if they're not doing anything when it comes to her kids, her own kids, they just giving loans to anybody. What is the verification process? Like, and I understand mistakes happen, but even to not fix the mistake, why wouldn't you fix the mistake? Maybe it's because then you have to admit that you made a mistake. I don't know, but having any children involved in that would be crazy. That's crazy work. Like, just move down a job position. Maybe they put you on the printer only and you do the coffee runs for the office or something. But I feel that if there is a mortgage in her children's name, absolutely needs to be fixed. That doesn't even make sense, because those payments are still dependent on somebody making those payments, and it's not the children. They don't sound legal yet, and we know how that goes a lot of the time. When some of these adults steal the identity of their children, life gets hard or something happens, and the next thing you know, the child turns 18. They got repos, foreclosures, all sorts of stuff, and you're just like, how do I have that? I'm just jumping off the porch. I'm just just out of high school.
But what they want me to have to do is hire an attorney separately from this and sue him, where I would get what exactly? How would that? I would spend $15,000 on an attorney just to have him kicked out of the home. So for me, that's what real justice would be. I thought that the organization would do the right thing. They're not. They're not going to. He doesn't deserve to live there. They didn't verify any of information. And again, they want to protect the organization. They don't want it to have a black eye. So I desperately hope that this goes mega viral, because I guarantee this has happened a ton of times and they've been under the rug. Like, literally them. Sorry, I'm getting really agitated thinking about this and how they've responded to me about this. It is a precious housing resource, and I cannot believe that they have responded to me like this right now that we're divorcing. If they're not going to throw him out onto the street, there is no situation where I am going to have the time or the money to just hire an attorney for a fraud case, which is why I've reached out to the FTC and all those other organizations, and I still haven't heard anything back from them yet. So at the bare minimum, what I want is for this house to go to my kids, or for him to have to sell it and give them half the money. He wouldn't have a roof over his head if it wasn't for my sons. And again, they didn't know this house existed. They don't spend time over there. He completely abandoned them. I don't spend time over there. You know what I mean? But in our divorce, which I'm going to have to make another part, go ahead and go to the next part. I'm going to show you our actual divorce paperwork.
And somebody here is saying, if you're still married when he bought that house, it's marital property. But it sounded like it was after. Either way, the house sounds like it's in her child's name. Does it really make a difference? I don't know. Definitely got to see a lawyer about that one. So a lot of people are just pretty much in the comments telling her that she should try to sue. You know, I'm wishing her the best, really. I hope she gets a solution for this, because this is absolutely ridiculous.
Husband committed mortgage fraud through Habitat for Humanity and Proud Ground here in Portland, Oregon. Part 4. Just like I was completely unaware that a man can literally hate you and still allow the natural progression of a relationship, can still impregnate you, raise children with you, spend decades with you. I've had an education. Okay, let's say that. I've had an education. Our divorce paperwork. He is asking for half of the proceeds made from any videos disparaging his character. Nothing I've said is a lie. Nothing I've said is a lie. And I came to the internet as a broken, humiliated wife. I've learned a lot, but he only has ever cared about perception. The only way he could punish me once I knew absolutely everything was financially. He knew his physical presence wasn't going to bother me. Once the mask came off and I saw things that I won't repeat because my sons watch these videos, but he said horrific things about me. He said horrific things. He pretended that he was dying of cancer. He faked being his own doctor. He was catfishing people. He pretended to be on his deathbed. He was calling other women his wife. Just psychotic shit. Not just cheating, psychotic shit. And I had been conditioned from the day that I met him to doubt my own instincts I was in the cycle of harm and soothe, and my very first appointment with a therapist, I was shown the cycle of abuse. And I've been unraveling that for the last year and a half. I will take accountability and say that when I was 24, I made a video last week talking about this. I said I was 25. I was actually 24. He was cheating on me, and I might have already said this, my bad, but I found out he was cheating when I was pregnant. And my grown self now would go back and tell my 24-year-old self, if he was capable of cheating on you in your most vulnerable state when you were pregnant with his sons, there's nothing he won't do to you. But my mind doesn't think the way his does. And I didn't think it was possible not only to stay with someone and marry them and do all the things, but also move across the country with them. I trusted him. And that was something that I'm ashamed of, that I have been ashamed of. I'm not anymore. I was genuine. If he ever, because there have been a few like, oh, I want to hear his side. Listen to me. If he ever told his side and it even approached the truth, he couldn't deny that he had all of these affairs and a double life going on. He couldn't deny that he had my name on credit cards, maxing them out, and I didn't even know they existed. That he submitted fraudulent documents to the IRS. Those are, even if he told his side, he would tell you in the end was recording conversations when he would poke me and then I would explode, like that type of shit, making it look like, oh, she just randomly started, you know what I mean? Just a narcissist right to his core. Not only does he meet every single qualification of a narcissist, also every single qualification of a psychopath. But anyway, I digress. In our divorce paperwork, he wants half of the money. He wants to retain the new vehicles that he's bought. He will generously pay off the credit cards that I did not know existed, except one for $300 that he's asking me. I don't even know what this is, so I will not be doing that. But he asked to...
And the audacity. Man, oh! Y'all probably been at the Ruth Chris. You've been at the Ruth Chris with your new girl. Talking about, I need to pay a credit card, allegedly, that you opened in my... Jesus, take the will. I just have to pray. At that, I actually just would need to pray my way through that situation because I wouldn't know what to do. I fear I would see red. Honestly, what do you mean? Because you got nothing but audacity, in my opinion, to ask me to pay for something that I don't even know about, but it's in my name?
He asked for me to take over the $17,000 loan for the car that I had been driving that he came and stole the plates off of. I won't be doing that. I bought myself and my son's cars free and clear, so I won't be assuming any of his debt. However, he wants to retain the home that he lied and all that he lied to obtain. He wants to retain that home. He wants to retain all of his retirement money, and he wants our debts split, where I'm, our debts are separate after January 10th. Why January 10th? That was the day he closed on the house. I tried to let the foundation do what I thought the foundation would do before I brought it to the internet. I genuinely thought that they would investigate this and they would throw him out onto the street.
I would have thought that's what they would have did too. Well, this is actually shot. Now, this is all alleged. I don't know what they did or didn't do. I'm just going and reacting off of this woman's side of the story because this is actually a learning experience for me as well. Because I didn't even know you could get a loan through Habitat for Humanity. I didn't even know that. And I'm just over here thinking this is going to be a little educational piece where we can discuss the qualifications, but then to find out that qualification may not have been the case for what she's saying is interesting. It is. And then the whole financial aspect of the divorce that a lot of people go through, it's very relatable. And that's why I wanted to play this all the way through. A lot of people go through divorces and financially these sort of horrible things happen to them. She is not the first, she's not going to be the last. And as much as a lot of people think that divorce is something that cannot happen to them, it is a real possibility. And I think that showing more of the hard sides or the bad sides of divorce or marriage is important. And I say this even as a married woman. Reason is, a lot of people say stuff like this can't happen to them. Honestly, those are the people who sometimes get done the worst because they don't even see it coming. They don't even see it coming. I think, in my humble opinion, the best thing to do is, of course, pray for the best. However, just understand what could happen and ask yourself, if something were to happen, are you going to be okay? In this woman's case, props to her. On the bright side, she sounds like she's able to take care of her and her children financially. Can you imagine if she wasn't? She said she had the good credit, but he made more. And allegedly, he stole her credit. He registered a credit card in her name and then ran it up, allegedly. Do you see how even though it sounds like he was the breadwinner, she still ended up being a victim financially because of her good standing credit and malicious intent that might have been because of the separation? Like, allegedly, based off of what she's saying. People can be very petty. When divorce happens, it's almost like dealing with somebody you do not know. That is not the person that you said I do to. You just almost are like, how did you get like this? And even in marriage, people change. And that's how I know. Like, I could even say, as I've been married, and I'm sure a lot of married people could even say the same, I've changed. If you got married 10 years ago when you were a kid or something, 10 years later, I would hope you don't have a lot of the same mindset. A lot of people, they mature, their beliefs might even change. Like, things like that happen. And it's not just happening to one person, it's happening to both of you. And you would hope, the hope in marriage is that you can grow together as one in a positive direction with each other. But that doesn't always happen. You could be growing in two separate directions. And then the next thing you know, you're like, who is this? Who is you? You wasn't acting like this. Yeah, because I'm not the same as 10 years ago. And that's how sometimes you get to a point where it's not just personalities not being the same as you were 10 years ago. Financially, people can be moving different. They might do something you would have never thought they would do, and you just be like, whoa. And watching things like this is an eye-opening experience.
This has been a struggle, I'm not gonna lie. This has been a huge struggle for me, for my kids. We've all been in intense therapy for the last year and a half, and I've made leaps and bounds. I've never showed up at his job. I've never showed up at this house. I've not done any of the things that I have wanted to do. I will admit and take accountability to when I found out these things, I absolutely crashed the out. Yes, I did. I absolutely did. I will never pretend that I didn't lose my mind. I don't know anyone who would have done any differently.
Y'all, this was a lot. I need to know what y'all think about all this down below. On the brighter side, we did learn that you can obtain a mortgage through Habitat of Humanity. Do your own research. Some of you might be able to meet the requirements, so that might be something very good for a lot of people. It just is sad in this case to see that there may be loans obtained that shouldn't have been for a program that seems really good for people who need it. So hopefully that gets situated with the children, and I hope that that mother is able to get things situated as well, and we wish her the best. But this is a very opening story, and I hope people are paying attention to the possibilities of what can happen to people and the realities of separation. And then this is how ugly it can get. So I always say, I don't care who you are, you want to always be able to take care of yourself and not be depending on anyone. And luck, oh, I'm so glad that she has her own resources. Like, that is just chef's kiss. I'm glad. I'm talking emergency funds, a job, a career, all of that. Because can we just imagine, like, I can just imagine how the story would be if that were not the case, because we've reviewed stories like that before on this channel. And unfortunately for some of the people that were fully financially dependent on the other person, it didn't go very well for them in the separation phase or the divorce. And I don't want to see that for none of y'all. We got to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.